Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Hannah. I decided to start this channel with a video how to start a record label. What? How to start a record label. And today I have Tony H here, who is a DJ, producer, and an owner of 2 record labels.
I run 2 labels. One started in Alaska, Late Night Munchies, and another one that I started later on called Munchies After Dark. Started here in Seattle, and here I am with Hannah to talk about how to start a record label.
Back to 2015 and the time in Alaska. First question for you is going to be, why did you decide to start a record label back then?
So mainly because as a producer, most of you will know that it's very frustrating sending out demos and not getting a response from a record label. And I had reached my point where I was tired of waiting on labels to reach back out to me, so the best thing to do was to start my own record label to release my music.
So as I mentioned, it was 2015, it was 5 years ago. You were 24 years old. My question is, how much money do you actually need to start a record label?
You definitely need enough money to cover expenses like cover art, sound engineer if you don't have one. A lot of distributors will charge you fees right when you start off. And then at the same time too, if you know people in the industry or have friends that are graphic artists or are sound engineers, then that's where you can save yourself the money on that. But I would say roughly $200 to $300 probably to just get started.
And talking about the team, how many people do you need to have in your team in order for you to start a record label?
You don't really need a full team. It could be one person. I run Late Night Munchies alone, but it helps to have friends that will push your label, push your brand, people that you may know around, even family members posting stickers in different places. Or you can have a full team. Having a team is not the worst idea. They can help you with A&R work, they can help you filter out demos, approve designs, get the sound engineers on board, so having a team is never a bad idea.
What do you need to start a record label in the meaning of name?
Yeah, you would definitely want to figure out what name you want to call the label. You definitely want logo to represent whatever brand that you're pushing for your label. Figuring out what sound direction you want to go in. Not as important as it used to be, but still just have a basic concept of where you want to go. You definitely want to have sound engineer to be able to master your tracks, unless you are more than capable of doing that yourself over time. What else do you need?
Do you need LLC?
You don't really need an LLC. When I got mine in 2015, it was more or less for the paper, just to say that I own the name and label Late Night Munchies. Down the road, you probably want to do that when your brand becomes bigger, you're throwing events, or releasing music from bigger artists that may require that in the future, but right off the bat, you don't need an LLC.
Do you need merch?
Never a bad idea to have merch. If you have friends that don't mind wearing your merch or passing your merch out, that's never a bad thing, but you don't need it right off the bat. Maybe even stickers would be a good start, just to have something with your brand name on it that you can spread out. Everyone loves stickers, so that's an easy way to get your brand spread across a lot of people.
What company do you go with when it comes to stickers?
Sticker Mule. Go with Sticker Mule. Cheap, efficient, great customer service, and quality is really good. They'll stick and stay on anything.
We got name, we got logo. The next thing we need to have is a contract, right?
Right.
How do you write the contract? What are key points in the contract?
There's probably 3 or 4 main things. Copyright ownership, which is basically the label telling the artist that they own this track, and that the artist owns all parts of the track that were made. So whether it's vocals, samples that were used, making sure all the samples are cleared to be part of this track is really important. And also, it's to clarify whether the label will own the track or will be signing that artist a long-term agreement where artists will be sending a track to the label, let's say every 3 months based off the agreement on the contract, or the track will be owned for, let's say, 5 years from now until you can re-release it on any other label or exercise that right to release it on another label. Another part you want to have is royalties, which is really important. what part the label will be keeping, what part will go to the artist. If you have remixers, vocalists, what part will be going to them. And term length, meaning how long you'll be keeping the track for, or how long you'll be signing that artist for. So that's important because tracks can be re-released on compilations, can be re-released on another label, and as an artist we need to know how long we can have that track on a label before we can re-release it somewhere else if we decide to do that for any other reason.
The things that you do not need, what are those things?
The main thing that I have not needed while running a label is a PR team. And what a PR team really does is you'll send them releases, you'll send them the music, you'll send them the artwork, and they push your stuff to music blogs, podcasts, radio shows, pretty much any outlet that accepts the music from the genre that you're pushing. The reason why I say you don't really need that, because in the 5 years I've run the label, I've never used the PR team, and we have charted on Beatport, charted on TrackSource, been featured in many radio shows, featured in many podcasts, even have been covered by blogs and magazines. So do you need the PR team? You don't. But if you have a release that you really believe in and you want to push it to its 1,000th potential, then getting a PR team is not the worst. Just know that it does cost a decent amount of money.
Do you need a website?
A website's good if you want to centralize information. So if you want to have releases, a way to contact the label, demo submission page, even a merch or a store where you can sell your merch, it's a good thing to have. But with all the platforms we have now on social media, not the biggest necessity as it probably used to be before we had all these outlets.
How do you choose a distribution?
Many ways. You can simply just Google record label distribution. You'll get a decent amount of places like LabelWorks, Label Engine, Symphonics, DistroKid. There's a ton of others. Or if you happen to know someone, reaching out to someone that you may know just to get some information and intel is never a bad idea. Just to know kind of what would be best for you in the label.
What distribution are you using?
Label Engine. Their customer service is great. They give you a good lead time as far as sending the music to push your releases. And with a lot of these smaller distributions, you get to meet people on the inside that will help you push releases. Shout out to Thomas Garcia, who's on Label Engine. It always helps out.
Does Label Engine charge you for their services?
So right off the bat, they do not. You don't pay anything to get your label started, get releases submitted, accept demos, see your royalties, see what you're making as far as sale per track that are being made. But if you want them to manage your demos or manage your accounting, then there's subscription fees for that. But right off the bat, you don't pay anything.
How do you find those first artists to sign?
Again, just like finding distribution, many different ways. If you're connected to Facebook and Instagram, easy ways of just making a post saying, my label's looking for this sound, and send demos here, hoping that people share it, people respond. If you don't have the luxury of having producers or artists or DJs on your friends list, then a really good website that you can use is called Labelbase. You register your record label with the genres that you're taking, email, contact information, and through their artists, while they're shopping demos, they can go on this website. Your record label may show up for them, maybe first, maybe a couple pages down, where they'll be able to find the contact info and send it to you to the website. The thing for me was living in Alaska when I started the label. I had a lot of artists that had really dope music but had no way and didn't know a way of sharing their music on these platforms like Beatport, like TrackSource, like Apple Music and Spotify that we all use. So me starting a label gave them a platform, and me reaching out to them, letting them know I had the platform for them was beneficial for me and for them. It doesn't matter where you live, where you're starting a label. Could be the smallest city, biggest city. Just know you need to put in the work and push your brand and your sound so that people know who you are.
Can you give us some tips how to organize first 3 releases?
I would say it's mostly dependent on your distribution. So a lot of distribution will recommend that you send them, any release that you're going to put out within the next month, that they need 2 weeks lead time to release the music proper, get proper promo, get it submitted to all the stores that they have available to them at a good time. I would say figure out the artist that you're going to be releasing with once they send you the music, get it mastered, have the artwork, and if you can, submit all of it at the same time. Even if they're not going to be out for 2 or 3 months, go ahead and submit it. That way it gives you time to promo the releases properly, get them out to artists that are going to be playing, especially if it's festival time, getting them out to artists so they can play it out and share it with their crowd, their fan base. So be locked in and have all the information and content ready to submit all at once if you can.
How often do you post the content? How often do you make those releases?
I would say for at least someone that's starting out, especially if you're just one person running everything, I would say 2 releases a month would be a safe bet. And that way you can do promo the week prior to the release so that people know that it's coming. And then the week of, I would probably make another post or start pushing again. And always get the artist on board too. Make sure that the artist is on board to push their music. Too many artists work way too hard on their music to then the release come out and they don't do anything with any of the promo given to them to push the release. So make sure that the artist that you sign is on board to push the release with you so that it gets its maximum potential of sight from people that are online and in digital stores shopping for music before gigs and yeah.
There are so many labels out there right now, and some of them are really, really big. If we are talking about house music in the United States of America, Dirty Bird, Desert Hearts, how do you make your label recognizable?
I feel quality of sound, so quality of music. A lot of labels that you see, a lot of the smaller labels at least, they're just putting music out. Good, bad, or indifferent, they're just putting music out. And one way to separate yourself is putting out quality music from artists that care about their craft, artists that really are in it because they love music and not because they're looking to get rich off of this career path. And then I would say branding. Branding's important. Branding that can be put on merch, t-shirts, hats, stickers. That stuff's important. People want to be able to they want to swag it out. So they want to wear your stuff. They want to have a hat. They want to have a t-shirt. They want to have stickers. So quality of sound and branding is really, really important.
My next question to you is about success. I know that every person who decides or who decided to start a record label will measure their own success in different ways. I'm asking about you personally. How to become successful?
What would be the way to kind of count success is being able to pay the artist. We all know in this business of owning a label that there's not much money there for yourself or for the artist a lot of the time. So being able to cut them a check even for a small amount is a big deal for a lot of the artists. I know for me, getting my first check from House of Hustle was a big deal. So yeah, I'm sure it's a big deal to artists to be able to see some feedback and a monetary value for their artwork.
Is there money in owning a record label?
Not really. Unfortunately, with the royalties, the way they work with Spotify and Beatport, you get little to none back from a lot of these stores. You have to sell, 100 copies to see profit or a real, return on investment as far as what you're giving them to get back. But if you're throwing events too, with the brand of your label, then that's where you can get a lot of the profit back. Just know that when you're throwing events, you got to remember you're renting a venue or reserving a venue, paying artists, maybe renting equipment and sound. So as much money as you're putting in, like you're hoping to get, break even or make some profit to be able to pay those artists what they deserve. But I feel like over time, if you're throwing events consistently, releasing music consistently that's quality music, you'll see money back. It's taken a few years for Late Night Munchies, but now in year 5, we're seeing some return on that from sales. So it feels good.
Well, thank you so much for being a wonderful boyfriend. Just kidding, you guys. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your patience and helping me to record my first video. I'm very excited. Do you have anything else to say?
Follow me on Facebook and Instagram, DJ Tony H507. Okay. This is how you build a brand. Okay, build your brand. Just make sure you're putting out quality stuff. That's really important. Get some good people around you that will support your music and support the label's music. Respond to your promos, give you feedback on promos, give you real feedback and not, yeah, that sounds dope every time you send them something. You need people around you that will give you actual feedback. Thankfully, I have this person here and my 2 really good friends, Chris and Grant, DJ Gray and Mind Groove, that give really, really honest feedback even when it's crap. So make sure you have a really good team around you, even if they're not fully involved in the label, just people that will give you feedback and help you out when you need it. And stay humble.
So subscribe, comment below. Stay tuned. Bye!